So how do you create HTML? HTML, as I've said, is just plain text, so you can go into Notepad or someplace like that and just type it on out, type the open bracket and the tag name and the attributes and the close bracket and all that, and you got HTML. Of course, not many people do it that way anymore because we now have something called an integrated design environment. Dreamweaver, for example, is an HTML integrated design environment, an IDE. And that IDE provides lots of conveniences, like start to type a tag and it'll fill in the rest of the name. If you forget the attributes, it'll prompt you to show you all the different attributes. It'll help you see if your HTML code is going to be cross-platform, if it'll run equally well on Internet Explorer and Firefox, for example. It'll do a lot of those kinds of things. It'll automatically display the page in the browser of your choice. It'll allow you to link easily between CSS and HTML. It'll do all those convenient things for you. It's not necessary, but it's certainly desirable because it does a lot of the work for you. And in addition, it'll give you a WYSIWYG view of the HTML page, so you can type as if you were in a word processor and not in an HTML editor. So those are all the reasons why people use HTML IDEs. We won't use an HTML IDE in this class, or at least not very much. The way we're going to create our HTML is by transforming XML. We're going to write all of our content inside of XML and then run something called a transform, and that will create the HTML. Now there's one exception to that rule, and that is that we will sometimes use a Dreamweaver or some kind of HTML integrated design environment in order to create the look and feel of the page. So we'll create a page and we'll leave out all the details, all the actual content of it, so that we get all the tagging in place. And then our XSL transforms will take our content from XML plus the look and feel and layout that we've created in Dreamweaver and merge them together to create the integrated page. So we won't use an HTML IDE very often. We'll usually use XML and transform that XML into HTML. However, we will use an XML integrated design environment, and we'll use it for the same reason that people use HTML design environments. The reason is it offers us a lot of convenience. So instead of using Dreamweaver, we'll use something called Oxygen. And Oxygen is an XML integrated design environment, and it allows us all those same kind of conveniences as we might have in an HTML IDE. It'll help us fill in tags, it'll show us when our text is valid, it'll allow us to run transforms and do all sorts of things on our XML that would be difficult to do if we were just in a text environment. So the way you create HTML is basically by creating a text file. The way you create that text file could be as simple as typing it into Notepad, or it can be as complex as using a sophisticated IDE like Dreamweaver. We won't be using an HTML IDE because we'll be creating our HTML through transforms. We will be using an XML IDE. The one we'll be using is called Oxygen, and that Oxygen IDE will provide us a lot of conveniences and allow us to do the work we need to do in XML more easily than we could have if we just used a text processor.